So today we're going to be doing Homebuyer 101. We're going to be talking about points. Yes, this is incredibly important if you're looking at getting a mortgage, because what I'm seeing a ton of right now is lenders charging borrowers points for the heck of it. Yeah, that's what it feels like, man. I got to tell you, I was looking at a loan estimate on Reddit because I love Reddit. We all know that. And the rate was like 4.5. And you're like, wow, that's so good. Yeah, it's a great rate. 7.5 points. Okay, what's a point? So there's two different types of points. There's an origination point and a discount point. So if a mortgage lender is charging you origination points, that is what they're charging you for them to do your loan. So if, for instance, your lender is charging you 1 origination point, we see this with a lot of big VA lenders, it's 1% of the loan amount. So if you're buying a $400,000 house and your lender's charging 1 point origination, that's $4,000 right there, okay? Now, the reason I want you guys to know this is beyond what your loan officer's talking to you about. When you go online and you see these rates, you need to look at the fine print, because a lot of times the fine print will say, you know, charging 1 origination point and 1 discount point. So, excuse me, hiccups. So the origination point is something that goes to the lender. Now, the next thing is, what is a discount point? So a discount point is to buy down the rate, okay? And people usually go, oh, well, then I'm getting a better rate. A better rate than what? I cannot say that enough. A better rate than what? So 1 discount point is also 1% of the mortgage amount. So once again, $400,000 mortgage, 1 origination point, $4K, 1 discount point, $4K, you're at $8,000, okay? So whatever that rate is, you're paying $8,000 to do the loan. That is the most important part. And sometimes people go, okay, well, if the origination's high, but there's no discount points, that's still bad. No, like honestly, when you're comparing lenders, you need to look at the rate versus origination and points, okay? It's all, you know, because people work stuff differently. So for instance, you could have a lender that has no origination fee. This is all loans, guys. I'm just all loan types. You could have a lender that's like, well, I don't charge you an origination fee at all. But they could be charging you 2 discount points for the same rate that someone else would give you for $1,500, right? That's what you guys need to know, because a lot of times people go, oh, well, if I'm buying down the rate, it would be the same with every lender. No, 1 point costs 1% is the same with every lender, but what is the start rate? Okay, that's very critical. And then you're like, okay, well, if the start rate's 7%, I read somewhere that 1 point will buy it down 1/4. Nope, no. Here's the thing. So with buy downs, it changes daily. I'm not kidding. And it's lender by lender. Yes, and it's because of the way the pricing sheets work. So basically, the way that pricing works in loan land is every single company, we're just going to go by companies, right? Because whether it's a broker, like brokers are selling to United Wholesale most of the time, or Rocket. It's not like there's like all these different players. So what happens is you've got the main company. The main company has what they're getting for rates, but then they're adding on what their margins are, what they want to make on every single loan to that rate. And then on top of that, you've got what the loan officers adding on to every single loan, what they want to make off that rate, okay? And you're like, oh, okay. Guys, companies charge different margins. Loan officers charge different amounts. You could talk to one company, 5 different loan officers, and get 5 different rates and fees. That is what you need to know. So the biggest thing that I would say you need to be cautious about is this. I want the lowest rate. Can you get me 5%? You call a couple lenders and you say this, I want 5%. Get me 5%. Someone's going to say, okay, got it. And you're like, wow, I did it. I negotiated. What are their fees, guys? What are their fees? What are they charging you to get that 5%? Because a lot of times people will say to me, well, they don't have any fees, Jen. And I'm like, I don't think so. Get me a locked loan estimate, please. And then I get the locked loan estimate and I'm like, yeah, they're charging you $30,000 for that rate. Did you know that? Well, no, they didn't say it. Guys, they don't have to. That's the thing. You didn't ask the question and you're like, wait, stop. Seriously, you're telling me, Jen, that they can literally just agree to a rate without telling me it has a crazy cost associated with it. Yeah, yeah, totally. Guys, look, here's the thing. Lending, it's one of those professions that's really tough to regulate, right? Like I did a video about pre-approvals and pre-quals, and every single lender does them differently. Half of them are fake. It's just nonsense, right? Same thing here. You know, if you say, I want 5%, now look, if I have 5% on my rate sheet, if I'm a dirtbag, I can say, yep, I got that. Let's move ahead. Fill out the application. I'll get you 5%. You didn't ask me how much it cost. I don't have to tell you how much it costs. I have to tell you how much it costs when I lock you. Now, ethically, should I tell you? Yes. But are there a lot of dirtbags in lending? Yes. Is one of the biggest call centers in America, one of the biggest lenders in America, are they known to do this? Yeah. I mean, look, we get it all the time where someone's like, oh yeah, I'm using XYZ, they're giving me this rate. I'm like, oh, what are your fees? No fees. Haha, send me a loan estimate. We get the loan estimate. Oh, they're charging you 3.5 points. What? Yeah, they never said that. Of course they didn't. They're hoping you don't read. That's the thing. And it's actually kind of scary because you're like, well, wait a second. They're hoping I don't read? Yeah, most people don't read their documents. They don't. They believe whatever the loan officer told them on the phone. They get all the way to closing. Then they look at how much money they have to bring in and they go, oh my gosh, I didn't know. Here's the thing and what you need to watch out for. First of all, don't call lenders saying you want a specific rate. You're opening yourself up to be lied to, number one. Number two, actually research the loan officer because it depends on the loan officer. It depends on the person in the seat. With my team, guys, the only loan officers you work with on my team are incredibly experienced and ethical. They are like me. I would never hire anyone that didn't have the same ethics and core beliefs that I have. Now, are they as hardcore as me in some regards? No, they're a little bit tamer. Not tamer. They're a little bit softer than I am. But no, right? Research the loan officer because that's where you see a lot of this shenanigans is you could literally have gone to the reviews and you'll see that people thought they were bait and switched or, you know, you'll see some bad reviews. And the other thing to keep in mind is that if they have no reviews, you're working with a new person. It's that simple. Are all new people bad? No, but they're untested. And if it's a call center especially, you need to understand that if you end up mad at them, it doesn't hurt them. The phone still rings. It's not going to affect their business. So research loan officers. If you're like, well, my real estate agent gave me one, guys, still research them. I mean, that's one of the things that's really disappointing. But there are real estate agents recommending people to loan officers because they get a kickback. Seriously, it's a big thing on the rise we're going to be talking about, you know, and there's been shady stuff for years like, oh, my lender got me Taylor Swift concert tickets. I mean, that's totally against the law, but do people do it? Yes. And is a real estate agent giving you to that lender so they get more Taylor Swift concert tickets? Yeah, they could be, right? So make sure you're researching them as well. The next thing is make sure that the lender will talk to you about rates and fees. Make sure they're super transparent. If you have to go on a digging journey where you feel like you're an archaeologist brushing away to get to the bone, to get to the truth, it's not the right lender. This stuff is not hard, right? And I'll literally, if I'm on the phone with a client, I'll take a picture of my rates and I'll be like, here you go. Like we can look at it together. I don't care. You know, I am all about transparency. When someone is not transparent, it's generally because they know that they're not competitive or they're trying to play a game, right? If someone's saying, yeah, I'll get you 5. Cool. Can you send me your rate sheet? Like, how much is that going to cost me? How many points? How many this? You know, if you're having to ask all those questions, I wouldn't work with them because they are just going to be a snake the entire time. If someone tries to trick you up front, what makes you think they're not going to trick you down the line? And you're like, well, I showed them. Doesn't mean anything, guys. Once again, they could say, yeah, I've got 5, but you don't get in contract for a week, right? You're not locked, but they're not telling you you're not locked. You get a loan estimate. Maybe it says 5 and it doesn't have any discount points, but it's not locked. And if it's not locked, it's not bindable. So they could get you all the way to the finish line and go, yeah, we got a lock now. And you're like, what? I thought we did. Oh no, here's my rate sheet. It's 7 points. Whoo! Or, you know, the messed up one I've seen recently is I have borrowers calling me where they're like, I just got this from my lender. It's so much more than I thought. I don't know. The lender just locked them without even talking to them. So they had like a loan estimate originally that was crazy, crazy low. But then at closing, like right before closing, the lender locked them and it just gets emailed out. They're just hoping you don't look. And you're already trapped, so you can't do anything. It's messed up. Okay, so make sure that the lender's being very transparent. Very transparent. Ask them what they think about buying points. You know, if you ask me, I don't like it. I don't like buying points. If I have a client that wants to buy 3, 4, 5 points, I usually tell them to go to another lender. It mathematically does not make sense in many, many cases. And you're like, well, wait a second. Can a lender sell points if it doesn't mathematically make sense? Yeah, they can. And it's all because, you know, a lot of loan officers, they just want the deal and they don't have the ability to say to you, hey, 4.5 is not a real rate. Paying 7.5 points to get this rate is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. This is how long it's going to take for this to make sense. Also, based on what we're seeing with rates and with the trajectory, there's a good chance that within the next few years, you could get down to that for cheaper, right? They're not going through any of that. They just want the client to be like, oh, I got 4.5 for 7.5 points, which I'm 99.9% sure is illegal. I don't see how that would ever pass a tolerance test, right? Because there are caps on how much a lender can charge. But these lenders that are pitching this stuff, they don't even know it. That's the worst part. Okay, so I digress. So what do you need to know? 1 discount point costs 1% of the loan amount. 1 origination point costs 1% of the loan amount. Is either good or bad? Depends on the rate that you're getting for it and if it mathematically makes sense. Make sure you're talking with a lender who will be transparent with you. Do not call lenders saying you want the lowest, I want the lowest rate. You are setting yourself up to get screwed, my friend. I'm telling you that right now. Because if you call me and you say, I want the lowest rate, I'm gonna go, well, like today, this is where I am with no points. That's what I'm gonna say. This is my lowest rate today. Rates change, it's very volatile, you know, depending on when you get in contract. You could look at buying down the rate, but based on what I'm seeing, I'm not a fan. Or like maybe 1 point makes sense, but we gotta math it out. That's what I'm gonna say, right? But you're gonna get a lender that goes, I have the lowest rate every day of the year. Bullshit, not a thing, no one does. You know, or, oh, well, I can get you 4.5. Great, I'm getting 4.5 for 7+ points. Horrible, horrible. So look, questions, comments, I know this kind of turned into a rant, but honestly, truly guys, I hate seeing people waste money. I hate seeing people get taken advantage of. I really dislike this era of the market where people are not being transparent with buyers and consumers. And I want you to smack them around. I want this to stop. And the only way this stops is if you guys are awake and you know what's going on and you can say, you're kidding, right? Or you go, look, I'm having to go on an archaeological dig to find out what you charge to do a loan. I'm not doing business with you. Have a good day. Boop. Got to get rid of them, guys. Help me out here. Thanks for watching.